On the weekends you're a slave, on the weekdays you're a slave. In the morning you're a slave, at the night you're a slave. At the masjid you're a slave, outside the masjid you're a slave. It's not a time when you're not a slave, you understand? And the second is you can only be a slave when you know what the master wants. If you don't know what he wants, well, then you are going to do what you want. And if you do what you want, by definition, you are free. Yes? So, what I'm trying to get at then is, there is no such thing as slavery until the master gives instructions. Is that clear to everyone? There's no such thing as slavery until what happens? The master gives instructions. Now Allah called himself master, which makes me slave, and makes me think, well, if he's master, what do I need? I need instructions. Is the Fatihah, anywhere in the Fatihah, did I recognize that I'm a slave and then I asked for instructions? Did that happen? What do we say in the Fatihah? That's asking for instructions. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Guide us. Okay, tell me what to do now. I've accepted slavery of yours, now you need to tell me what to do. What path should I walk? Guide me to the straight path. There's a logical connection between master and guidance, you understand? That's why all over the Qur'an, it's so beautiful. You will notice in dozens of places, Allah mentions Rabb and guidance. Rabb and guidance. سَبِّحِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ الْأَعْلَى. If you know the surah, say it with me. سَبِّحِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ الْأَعْلَى الَّذِي خَلَقَ فَسَوَّى وَالَّذِي قَدَّرَ فَهَدَى. The first ayah was Rabb, then you find Hada. عَسَىٰ أَن يَهْدِيَنِي رَبِّي لِأَقْرَبَ مِنْ هَذَا رَشَدًا. كَلَّا إِنَّ مَعِيَ رَبِّي سَيَهْدِينِي. Rabb and guidance, Rabb and guidance, Rabb and guidance, because they're connected with each other. So the first part, Allah describes Himself. In the later part, when we get to it, the really juicy part, we're going to see that Allah Azza wa Jal is only our Rabb when we accept His guidance. Otherwise, you can accept Him as a creator, you can accept Him as a maker, but you still haven't accepted Him as a master until you accept His guidance. That's the logical connection here in the Fatihah. A lot of people overlook that, you know. A lot of people don't see that. A lot of people think, Allah made me, Allah created me. Fine, but that's not the first thing He asked of you to recognize. He asked you to recognize that He is your master. That He's your master. So that's about Rabb. Then about the word Al-Alameen. Something just very brief about the word Al-Alameen. How is that translated, Rabbil Alameen? Anybody know? Call it out. Lord of the worlds. The problem with the word worlds is not a good translation of the word Al-Alameen. If you want to say worlds, the Arabic word for that is Al-Awalim. Al-Awalim. But the word here is Al-Alameen. I'm not going to get technical with you guys, because if I get technical with you guys, there will be accidents in the parking lot. So I'm just going to keep it simple. Alameen means worlds of people. Worlds of people. What Allah is saying is different generations and different nations. That's Alameen. That's why Allah says, أَنِّي فَضَّلْتُكُمْ to Bani Israel, أَنِّي فَضَّلْتُكُمْ عَلَىٰ الْعَالَمِينَ. I gave you preference over all the other nations. Every nation is called a world. It's really beautiful. Every generation is also called a different world. If you ever talk to a senior who's like 70, 80 years old, tell me what life was like when you were young. And he'll start by saying, oh, it was a different world. Ever hear that? It was another world back then. We landed here, we came to Malaysia, we came to Singapore, we look around, we're like, this is another world. A world we didn't know. A world we're not familiar with. We don't just think of it as another country, we think of it as another world. As a matter of fact, in the United States, I lived in New York most of the time, and in New York, you don't say hi to people. By the way, if you ever go to New York, don't say hi to people. Okay, it's not a good idea. You know, if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, how's it going? You better take out the pepper spray or like run. You don't say hello. But I went to visit my sister in Atlanta, Georgia, and everywhere you go, hey, how's it going? Nice morning. Like, you know, and that's just how they are. It's a different world, you know. I would go off to California and the streets are actually clean. I'm not used to that. I'm from New York. You know, and there are palm trees and there are people that are smiling. It's all wrong. Everything's wrong about that place. You know? So I said, I called the wife and I said, this is another world. I don't understand this. So the idea of worlds is there are distinct cultures. There are distinct civilizations. And Allah says, it doesn't matter which civilization, doesn't matter which culture, I am the master of all of them. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. In this ayah also Allah says that it is Allah who created different cultures. It is Allah who created different civilizations. It is Allah who created different languages. And He's the master of all of them. So you don't have to be like anybody else. You could be like yourself, it's fine. Islam doesn't want us to look like Arabs or to be Arab. It doesn't want that. It respects every culture because Allah says He's not just the Rabb of one alam, He's the Rabb of al-alameen. Allah gave us guidance. So long as you can live by your guidance, you can be happy in whatever culture you're in, whatever society you're in, whatever language you have. They're all honored by Allah. It's beautiful. Rabbil Alameen. The other thing Rabbil Alameen does, all of us are slaves, which means all of us are equal status, which means no nation is better than another nation. If the people knew that, man, we would have a different kind of international politics. If the world knew Rabbil Alameen, that all nations deserve respect, all people deserve respect, because the only one that put all of them in place is the Rabb who takes care of all of them and gives all of them gifts and guides all of them and is the authority over all of them. So why do they have to fight over authority over each other? That's all. It's so beautiful. Just Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Just that. Now that He's described Himself as Rabbil Alameen, the next part comes along. What is that? Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Oh my God. You better be ready for this. After this one, I'm going to give you a 2-minute break because you need to process this. You also need to stretch and maybe punch somebody. I don't know. But I'm going to do this one for 10-15 minutes. I'm going to give you a short break. Not to run away. Just stand in your place and cry and make international phone calls. Whatever it is you do, and then we'll continue again. But listen to Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. How is it translated? People call it out, please. Call it out. How is it translated? The merciful, the merciful? The most gracious, the most merciful? The most beneficent, the most merciful? The most merciful, the most kind? The merciful, the beneficent? The beneficent, the beneficent? These words are so difficult to process. In English. The most beneficent. When do you use beneficent in conversation? Have you ever used it actually in a real conversation with someone? Like somebody helped you with your homework? You are so beneficent. You don't do that. If you normally use the word beneficent, see me after the program. I have a few psychologists I can refer you to. The point is, the purpose of translation is that we get to understand the text. But if we start using words in translation that we ourselves don't use and can't relate to, then it defeats the purpose. You don't have to have overly artificial translation. You have to have translation that's close to the text, but also close to you. That's how translation makes sense. So anyway, let's talk about Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim a little bit. Both of these words have to do with the word Rahm. They have to do with the word Rahm, which is what my talk was about back in Malaysia, but I'll just repeat 1 or 2 things from it. The word Rahm actually has the meanings of intense love, care, concern, and mercy. Mercy is the last part of it, not the first part. Love is first, care is first, concern, and then mercy. This is Ar-Rahman. This is Rahmah. When we call Allah Ar-Rahman, we already acknowledge that Allah has love for us. Allah cares for us. He's concerned about us. And He will show us mercy. Though that's the acknowledgement inside any word that has to come with Ra, Ha, and Mim. Allah is Rahim. Allah is Rahman. Allah is Rahim. But what is the difference between Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim? In this difference, there is a world of beauty. Oh my God. You will appreciate Allah like nothing else except in these 2 names of Allah. Allah just called Himself Master, didn't He? Rabb, Master. And I gave you the separate meanings, but at the top of it all is Master. Now when you have a master, he has authority. And when you think of authority, you don't think of love. You don't. And Allah is telling us right away, I am a different kind of master. You will never find a master who will be described with Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. You will never have you pick any other master, they'll never give you love. They'll tell you what to do. They'll punish you. They'll force you to do things. They might even take care of you once in a while, but they will never give you love. They'll give love to their own. You know? This is what every other master does, but this master starts with love. Now, there are two names. Both of them have to do with love and mercy. Ar-Rahman and what? Ar-Rahim. But what's the difference between them? Again, not going to get technical, but I expect you to remember this. I'm going to quiz you on this. And if you give me bad answers, I'm not coming back. Ar-Rahman actually does three things. I want you to remember three themes inside the word Ar-Rahman because of the way it's spelled. Number one, it is extreme. It is extreme. It is beyond expectation. That's the first. Extreme and beyond expectation. What that means is Allah is not just loving, He is what? Extremely loving, beyond expectation. So whatever you expect from Allah, from love and mercy, know that it is beyond your expectation. That's the first meaning. The second meaning of Ar-Rahman is that it is something happening immediately. It's something, you don't have to wait for it, it is happening immediately. In English, think about this in English. What's the difference between someone who is patient and someone who is being patient? I'll say it again. The difference between someone who is patient and someone who is being patient. Which one is showing patience right now? Being patient. Like for example, I say about my wife, she's patient. She's patient. I don't know for sure if she's going crazy right now or not. I don't know. But if I say she is being patient, I'm talking about her when? Right now. You understand? Ar-Rahman is something happening not generally, but right now. In other words, in Ar-Rahman, we acknowledge that Allah is, you don't have to wait for Allah to show you love, or to show you care, or to show you mercy. It is actually happening in its extreme form when? Right now. But the third part. So the first one was extreme, the second one is right now. Here's the third part of the meaning. Oh my goodness, this third part of the meaning is kind of hard to, it's hard to take in when you first hear it. It sounds wrong, but it's actually correct. It's temporary. Temporary. Every word on this pattern in the Arabic language is temporary. Ghadban means extremely angry, but your anger eventually calms down. Some sisters like, no, not my husband's. It's always the same. But no, Ghadban means you're extremely angry and eventually you calm down. Atshan means you're extremely thirsty, but eventually you drink water and you're okay. Jaw'an means you're extremely hungry, but you eat and you're fine. You understand? So when you add the an at the end like that in Arabic, the quality is extreme, it's right now, but it's not what? It's not permanent. But it's not enough to say that it's temporary. There's one more thing. It's temporary because something takes it away. What takes thirst away? Drink. What takes hunger away? Food. What takes anger away? A slap. Like something takes it away. You understand? But then you know what we're saying? We're saying Allah's love is extreme, it is beyond expectation. Allah's love and mercy is coming right now, but don't mess up, because if you do something so bad, you might actually be disqualified from it. Because it might be taken away. And we'll talk about how it can be taken away, but we'll leave that for now. That's Ar-Rahman. What's the next name of Allah? Ar-Rahim. You have to remember two things about Ar-Rahim. But before I go to Ar-Rahim, it's exam time. What was the first quality of Ar-Rahman? It's extreme. Very good. Number two, right now. Number three, temporary. Now two qualities. It's less work for you for Ar-Rahim. Ism Sifa. Ar-Rahim, number one quality, that it's permanent. Number one quality of Ar-Rahim is anything that sounds like Rahim is permanent. Is that different from Ar-Rahman? It is, huh? The second quality of Ar-Rahim is not necessarily right now. There are two qualities of Ar-Rahim. One, it's permanent. Two, it is not necessarily right now. For example, when I say my teacher is merciful, my teacher is merciful. Or if you say my mother is loving, that's a long-term quality, isn't it? But does it mean she's loving right now? Not necessarily right now. You understand? Okay, now think about this. If Allah only said Ar-Rahman, then the love and mercy of Allah would have been extreme. And it would have been right now, but it would not have been permanent. If Allah only said Ar-Rahim, the love and mercy of Allah would have been permanent, but it would not have been extreme, and it would not necessarily have been right now. How do I talk about the love and mercy of Allah so it's extreme, so it's right now, and it's permanent, all at the same time? The only way to do that is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Subhanallah. You cannot talk about Allah's love and mercy in better terms than Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. But that still doesn't answer the question, why is Ar-Rahman first? Why is Ar-Rahim second? Please listen to this carefully. You are at work. You get paid on what day of the week? What day do you get your paycheck now over here? Huh? First of the month? Okay, so it's the first of the month. And your boss is not there at the office. And you're supposed to leave the office at 5 o'clock. And it's already 4:45, and you still haven't gotten your paycheck. And you need your paycheck because you need to buy those shoes you saw. So you need your paycheck. And you're getting desperate. It's already 4:45. And your boss isn't there. And your coworker says, don't worry, he's reliable. He'll be here. Relax. Now it's 4:48. And your coworker says, don't worry, he'll be here. He's reliable. He's reliable. And you're like, I know he's reliable. I wish he was being reliable right now. Don't tell me he's responsible, reliable, good. I don't want to hear that because that's just his quality. It's not necessarily happening right now. When I'm in trouble, I need help when? Right now. So you want the name of Allah that gives you the help when? Right now first, and then you want the other name. The other name that takes care of the future. When Allah says Ar-Rahim, it's permanent, right? Which is a guarantee of the future. But when Allah says Ar-Rahman, it is immediate. It's taking care of your immediate need. I'll give you another example. You go home, you're really hungry. Husbands are hungry, you get hungry a lot, you get stuck in traffic. Somebody cut you off, on the road, and you're really upset. You finally get home, of course, and the wife somehow, I don't know how, she skipped all the traffic, she got home early, she made you a great dinner and everything, so she's home early, and she has made dinner, but she didn't take it out. But you're so hungry, and you got home, and your wife says, so what do you want to eat next week? If you're that hungry, what do you say? Woman, I don't care about next week. What do we have right now? When you're hungry, the only thing you can think about is what? Right now. By the way, when right now is taken care of, when you're finished eating, you're like burp, and you're just, so what are we eating next week? When you pay this month's bills, you start worrying about next month's bills. When you pay this semester's fees, you start worrying about next semester's fees. You understand? So we only think about the future when our immediate concerns are taken care of. Allah understands who we are. So Allah says, Ar-Rahman, here, I took care of your immediate concern. But when your immediate concern is taken care of, where does your mind go? Into the future. He says, Ar-Rahim, I took care of your future too. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Subhanallah. And now in Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, when Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, what a genius. He was asked, what does it mean? He said, Ar-Rahman is for this world and Ar-Rahim is for the Muslims in the next life. He just said one brief statement. Ar-Rahman is for this world and Ar-Rahim is for the next life. And you understand the genius of this man because he saw something. He saw that this world is temporary. And which name is temporary? Ar-Rahman. And he saw that one name is permanent. And which life is permanent? Next life. Subhanallah. He just sees it right away. The Sahaba saw it right away. It takes me 25 minutes to explain it to you. But they just saw it. They didn't need to have this long explanation of Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. I promised you a 2-minute break, so I'm going to give it to you now. I'm counting. I'm going to count to 120. Don't come up and ask for pictures. Not yet. Because then it won't stop and then we won't be able to do this stuff. We got a lot to cover. We only got through Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim so far. You guys doing okay though? You guys doing all right? Okay, so do your stretching and whatever you do in Singapore. Take 2 minutes. I'm just afraid of the loudness. It's too loud. Okay. Alrighty. How was your break? Long and stretchy. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. ثم أما بعد. What was the last thing we talked about? Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Let's move further. I'm going to give you a silly example from my career. Where did I used to do? What did I used to teach? What did I tell you? Elementary school? You know, in the school that I started working at, I was the youngest teacher. All the other teachers were aunties, and they were a lot older than me. And they were very tough with the kids. They walked in, and the children, they put the fear of God in them. Okay? Now, I'm kind of a goofy person, so when I got my job as a teacher, I went in the first day of class, and I'm telling jokes, and I'm showing them like crazy tricks, like I'm sticking things in one ear and pulling them out of the other ear, and like I'm doing all kinds of silly things and telling them stories and all this stuff. The first day of class, I still remember when I was leaving class, everybody was like, "No, don't go." And that's not because they loved me, because the auntie was coming. That's the reason. But still, they like really enjoyed being in my class because I was joking around with them a lot, right? And I was like, why are these teachers so uptight? Why do they make it so hard for these kids to have a good time in class? You know, why can't they just be friends with them? And all the other experienced teachers, they said, "So what'd you do in class today?" So I said, "We had so much fun. We laughed, we played, did you teach anything?" No, we can do that a little later. I want to, be friends with them first." And they all said, "You'll find out." They just kind of that evil laugh. And I was like, yeah, no, it's never going to happen. So a couple of days go by, I'll go into the class, and I'm starting to teach the class, and nobody wants to sit down in their chair. "Tell us a story. Do that thing with your ear." And they're fighting with each other, and one guy's like taking the other guy's pencil, and they're drawing things. And I still remember one kid was on the back wall writing his name. And he was looking straight at me. And the friend next to him said, "Hey, I think he sees you." And he said to him, "Yeah, but he's a nice guy." And he kept going. Then I realized something. When you only show love and mercy and love and mercy and love and mercy, then is it possible that people take advantage of that? Okay. I'll give you a little bit of another example. This is a kind of a silly example, but I think it'll get the point across. Imagine that there's another master and a slave. The master says, "Look, you're my slave, but I don't want you to do all kinds of work. I have very little requirements. All I want you to do is, here's a fence." It's not even a fence, it's just a line with chalk. Just don't go on the other side of it. Just stay on the inside, don't go on the outside. Don't step on the outside. Inside this line, do whatever you want. Did you find your... He made it, okay. Inside this line, do whatever you want. Just don't step outside this line, that's all I'm asking. So the slave is basically free, but inside a circle. You understand? It's a pretty wide circle. It's like a few acres. Okay, so he could do whatever he wants. So one day he's going, and the slave is kind of close to the line, and he slips. And he falls on the other side. And the master is watching. He's sitting on a chair on the porch. He's watching. Where does the slave look immediately when he falls on the other side? He checks if the boss was watching, if the master was watching. And the master's still sitting on the chair. No problem. The master didn't say anything. He just sat there. So the slave got up and dusted himself off and went back inside. The next day, the slave he was near the fence and he pretended to fall. And he looked again, and the master's still sitting in his chair. He didn't say anything. The next day, he stopped pretending. He just put one foot on the line and checked. And the master said nothing. Pretty soon, he's walking, one foot on the outside, one foot on the inside. A few months go by, and he spends most of the time on the outside. And every once in a while, he checks in with the master. "Hey, how you doing?" And the master's like, No problem. Living a happy life. Then one day the master calls him. Hey, come here. Okay, he comes there. He goes, remember when we first met? I told you don't cross that line. He goes, yeah, you told me. I remember that. He goes, yeah, well, you started crossing it. You did it by mistake once, but then you started doing it pretending to make a mistake, but you were doing it on purpose. And then you started doing it more and more, and then you started spending most of your time on the other side of the line. And I've been keeping record. I mean, I didn't say anything to you, but I've been keeping record. And here's the record. You crossed the line 5,680 times. And I'm going to whip you for each of those today. You know what that is? That is a master saying, you took advantage of my mercy. And you forgot that I have a right to judge you. I will show you mercy so long as you don't try to take advantage of me. You don't try to make a joke out of my guidance. But I'm not really talking about a master and a lion in the in the lawn. I'm not talking about that, am I? I'm talking about us and Allah. So if you only have Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, then people will take advantage. And so Allah says, not just Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, He puts us back in check. He says, Maliki Yawmiddin. He's the master of the day of judgment. Now this is the easy translation, master of the day of judgment. I'll talk to you a little bit about it because there's so much more we have to cover tonight. The word Malik, actually I'll talk to the word Malik later. I'll talk to you about justice first. Allah says He's the master of the day of judgment. Judgment here is deen. Deen in Arabic actually means precise dealing or accurate dealing. They say in Arabic, kama tadinu tudanu. The way you deal with someone, that's how they will deal with you. In other words, this is an ayah about dealing with you with justice. What we are learning in this ayah is a very powerful philosophy of Islam. You only have two ways that you will be dealt with on Judgment Day. There's only two possibilities. Either you will get Allah's love and mercy, or you would get Allah's justice. Allah did not say you will either get mercy or punishment. That's not what I'm saying. Allah did not say either you will get mercy and love or anger. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you will either get love and mercy on the one hand, and what's the bad option? Justice. Justice. You have to understand what that means. Traveling in the United States, sometimes I think about the ayat in strange ways. When you travel, you go through security. And in like the early 2000s, like 2002, 2003, there was really tight security in American airports. So they make you take your shoes off, they make you take your jacket off, belts, watch, everything, and they go through everything, and they give you a pat down, all of this stuff, right? So one day, I'm traveling at the airport, and the security officer looks clearly tired. He's just like, so I go through the little bar thing, I go through it. And he doesn't stop me. He doesn't say, sir, could you step to the side? I'm going to give you a special Muslim treatment. He doesn't do that. I was confused. He didn't stop me and check me extra. So I just did this. But you know what I thought of? Hisaban yasira. Allah Azza wa Jalla on the Day of Judgment, people will have a book in their right hand, some people will have a book on their left hand, and the book has what in it? What does the book have in it? All of our deeds. Now, when you have you ever taken your test paper to the teacher? Right? And sometimes the teacher just puts it in his bag, but sometimes the teacher says, stay right there, I'll grade it right now. You ever have that? You're standing at the desk, and your teacher's checking your exam. It is the most stressful thing you will ever do in your life. Because as soon as the red pen gets close to the paper, you just start going like, oh. Right? Allah Azza wa Jal, even if He gives you the book in the right hand, just because you have the book in the right hand doesn't mean it's been graded yet. You have to open the pages and check the assignment. And if you're like me, I'm thinking maybe I should bookmark it. If you check page 35, there's a Laylatul Qadr in there. If you just get that first, and if you, The Hajj, I think, is page 80. If you look at page 80, if you could skip these pages, they're kind of, page 80 is good. You know, students do that. Like they kind of make you want to skip the bad assignment and they want to show you the good work. You know? But Allah Azza wa Jal, so people are nervous and they're about to show their books to the angels. And the angels, يَتَجَاوَزُونَ عَنْهُمْ, the hadith tells us they're just gonna say, it's okay, just go. It's okay, it's okay. You don't have to show me page 80. It's okay, you can go, sir. It's fine. It's like you're going to the security officer to show him your passport. He goes, you're like, really? I can just go? That means you passed. That means you graduated. You got to the other side. When you get to the other side, the guy is so happy. The guy with the book in the right hand, he goes, "Ha, umuqra'u kitabiya." Hey, look at what I got. Look at my score. You know when people get a bad grade? And I used to do this back in the first year when I started teaching the Arabic program. I used to have the exams and I used to call people's names. And I used to have them come up to the front of the class and I used to hand in their exams and then they walk back, the walk of shame back to their seat. Now when students do really badly on an exam, what do they do with the paper as soon as they get it? They fold it up. And the people who got 100 on the test, their paper falls out of their hand accidentally. Oh, excuse me. The guy who got through security on Judgment Day says, "Hey, check out my book. إِنِّي ظَنَنْتُ أَنِّي مُلَاقٍ حِسَابِيَ." I knew I was going to get a great score. I knew I was going to meet my reward. Subhanallah. Now the guy on the left hand, the guy's got a book in his left hand, and the Quran describes وَرَاءَ ظَهْرِهِ, behind his back. So you got a bad report card, and you don't even know how bad it is, because it's behind your back. And the guy behind you sees it, goes, "Oh man." And you're like, what? I can't see it. Now they show their book. They show their book. And are the angels going to say, no, it's okay, just go? No, they're going to open that book. They're going to go line by line. And the Prophet described, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, إِنَّهُ مَنْ سُئِلَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فَقَدْ هَلَكَ. Someone who got asked even once on Judgment Day is done. If you get asked even once, in other words, if the angel stops you and says, "Sir, excuse me, let me see that book for a second." What is that? What is that on Thursday? Where were you? What is that place? What is this club here? What is that substance you're drinking? What is the amount you drank? Who are these friends you're with? Are these halal friends? No, it doesn't look like they're halal on the record. Oh man. It's all on record. With video footage. You know? وَوَجَدُوا مَا عَمِلُوا حَاضِرًا. They'll see what they did standing in front of them. If that record comes out, you're done. But will that record be unfair? No. On Judgment Day, there are people who Allah shows love to and mercy to and says, "I'm not even going to open your book. Just go. It's okay. Just go." And there are people who Allah says open their book and they get Allah's judgment. It's two things, either mercy or judgment. We want Allah's mercy. We want His love on Judgment Day. That's what we want. But if we take advantage of it, wallahi, people take advantage of it. There are people who get into haram ways of earning money, clearly wrongdoing. They go into bad company. They eat the haram thing. They drink the haram thing. They smoke the haram thing. You know, they watch the haram thing. They do the haram thing. And then they say, "But Allah is loving. Allah is so merciful. It's so awesome. It's okay. Allah is not going to make a big deal out of it." You're trying to take advantage of Allah's mercy. He doesn't take lightly to that. He does not take lightly to that. Allah balanced both things. On the one hand, His love is beyond imagination. It is always going to be there for you. His mercy will always be there for you. And on the other hand, don't you think for 1 second that you will get to just use Allah's love and mercy to take advantage of Him and do whatever you want. Don't you start thinking like that, because that will disqualify you from Allah's mercy. SubhanAllah. It's a balance between both of those things. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim on the one hand, Maliki Yawmiddin on the other hand. Now I'm not going to go into more detail tonight with these three ayat, but I will tell you this. This is now we're getting to my favorite part of this session. These three ayat, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, and what? Maliki Yawmiddin, are the most complete introduction to Allah in the Quran. What every human being needs to know about God is in these 3 ayat. That's all you need. That's all you need. Somebody says, what is your God in Islam like? What do you believe about Him? You just need 3 ayat of Fatihah. The first thing He told us about Him is He deserves praise and thanks. The second thing He told us about Him is that He's our master. The third thing He told us about Himself is like He's not like any other master. He has extreme love for you, extreme mercy for you. And the last thing He told us about Himself is just don't think His extreme love and mercy can be taken advantage of. He will deal with some people justly if they do wrong to Him. If they continuously do wrong to Him. Subhanallah. It's enough. It's complete. But at the end of it all, what is the relationship we have with Allah? I told you this already. What's the primary relationship we have with Allah? That He is master. We are slave. That's the relationship. If someone truly understands this introduction to Allah, then necessarily they reach a conclusion. That conclusion is Iyaka na'budu. That is the conclusion. Iyaka na'budu. It is only and only you that we give ourselves to willingly into slavery. Now let's talk about slavery. Has slavery ever been willing or unwilling? What's the usual form of slavery? Willing or unwilling? Unwilling. Nobody says, hey, I'm looking at different career options. I kind of enjoy long chains on my feet and, Nobody applies for the slave job. You understand? Slavery is never done willingly. In my crazy example, yes, you came up to me and said, hey, you're my slave. I was like, okay, let's do this. That was willing, but that doesn't normally happen, does it? There is no more powerful master than Allah. And here's the other thing about all other masters. Usually slaves love their master or hate their master. They hate their master. The first chance they get, they will want to get freedom. And even if they praise their master, is it real or genuine or fake? It's fake. But the surah began with Alhamdulillah. It's real, genuine praise for this master. How can that be? It is because this master did not force you to be a slave. You have to come to that conclusion yourself. That's why He didn't even say U'budullah. Be slaves to Allah. We said, Iyaka na'budu. We give ourselves to you in slavery. We are ready. We made the choice. We will ourselves. We will ourselves into slavery. It's incredible that the religion of Islam tells you in the Fatihah itself, you have to make a choice. Nobody can make you be Muslim. You have to come to Allah yourself. And why should you come to Allah? You should come to Allah because of the first 3 ayat of the Fatihah. That's enough for you. If you really knew what Alhamdulillah meant, if you really knew what Rabbil Alameen meant, if you really knew what Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim meant, and if you really knew what Maliki Yawmiddin meant, each of those are plenty of reasons by themselves, but altogether more than enough to say, Ya Allah, I'm your slave. I don't want to do what I want to do anymore. I want to do what you want me to do. Because what you want me to do is better for me than what I want to do for myself. Because you are my caretaker. You love me more than I can imagine. And your love is coming all the time. And your love came, Allah mentioned His love even before He mentioned slavery, didn't He? So He gives His love even to those who don't become His slaves. Even those who say bad things about Him. Even those who disobey Him. Ya Allah, you've been so good to me, I am ready. Just take me. I'm ready. I sign up. Iyaka na'budu. This is what you and I say when we stand like this. Allahu Akbar. Some of you are watching a movie, pretty bad one too. And then you pause, then you make salat. Ya Allah, I'm only your slave. I never disobey you. I came to this conclusion myself. Please guide me. Then you say salam and hit play again. That makes sense? Some of you come for Jumu'ah. And thousands of you saying to Allah, Ya Allah, I'm your slave. I came to that conclusion myself. I realize I don't want to, when I do what I want to do for myself, I hurt myself. I want you to guide me. And then right after Jummah, you do some pretty messed up things. You know? What is that? That means we're saying something with our tongues, but it hasn't reached here. And we haven't actually thought about it. We haven't actually become conscious of what we are saying whenever we say, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. We are making an agreement with Allah. We're telling Allah something about ourselves. We're making a claim to Allah. How do you tell your mother that you love her? You come to her house, she tells you take your shoes off, you don't take them off. She tells you eat on the dinner table, you eat in the couch. She says don't bring your friends over, you bring your friends over. She says don't make loud noise, you turn the volume up. And then you tell her, I love you, Mom. Is that a joke? Is she hurt when you say I love you? Is that actually offensive to your mother? Are we being offensive to Allah? We do everything He tells us not to do, we do. And then we say, Ya Allah, I'm your slave. Totally your slave. Absolutely, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. I'm your slave. Subhanallah. وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. And it's only your help that we seek. One of the most beautiful ayat in the Quran. إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. Easy translation, it is only and only your help that we are looking for. It's only and only your help that we're seeking. But what in the world does that mean? My goodness. When we decide that we are going to be Allah's slaves, we have to realize that's not an easy thing. That's a pretty big commitment made to Allah. It's not a small thing. And when you make a big commitment, you need help. So we say to Allah, Ya Allah, I just made a pretty big commitment. I don't think I can do it on my own. Can you help me with that? إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. Please help. I can't do it on my own. That's the first meaning of إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. But one of the most beautiful lessons in إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ, in the Arabic language, there are like a dozen words for help. Nasr and Musa'ada and Madad and Aun, and there are tons of them. Allah used Aun. Nasta'een comes from the Arabic word Aun. It's a very specific kind of help. I want you to understand this help because it will open doors of understanding in your life. It really will. When you say إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ, what are you actually saying? You're driving on the road and you have a flat tire. You pull over to the side. Now what do? You get out of the car and you look for a spare tire in the back. You take it out and you're jacking up the car and you're trying to lift the car so you can put the spare tire on. But you are not strong enough to lift the car the whole way. So when somebody is passing by, you say, hey, can you help me? And they help you. That is called isti'ana. In other words, isti'ana is when you are already trying, you could not finish, then you ask for somebody's help. That's called isti'ana. Isti'ana is not that when you had a flat tire, you sat in the car and somebody passed by and said, hey, I have a flat tire, can you help me? He says, yeah, okay, well, here's the button to pop the trunk. Can you press that for me? And then take it out. I'm gonna sit here, I'm listening to the news right now. That's not nasta'een. That's not isti'ana. Why not? Because isti'ana requires that you are doing work first yourself. And then you couldn't finish and you need somebody else's help. You got that? So lazy people cannot ask for isti'ana. Lazy people who don't do any work, you can't ask for that kind of help. By saying nasta'een, we are actually telling Allah, Ya Allah, I am trying. I am telling you I am trying. I am putting in the effort. You can see it. And now I need your help. So anybody in the world who turns to Allah and says, how come you don't help me? And people do that. People ask Allah, how come Allah doesn't help me? And they don't even try themselves. They make no effort themselves, but they blame Allah for Him not helping. They have only themselves to blame. This is a principle of Allah. He will help you when you start making the effort yourself. If you never make the effort yourself, and He will not help you. There are two things you have to understand here. I'll go through both of them. There are people in the world who don't do any effort and then expect Allah to help them. It will never come. The Sahaba were helped by angels in the Battle of Badr. You know about that? The companions were helped by angels in the Battle of Badr. But the Sahaba had to go into battle meet the enemy, and then the angels came. The angels were not there waiting ahead of time. We've been here since 3 o'clock. Where were you? It doesn't work that way. Ibrahim alayhi salam has to be thrown into a fire, then it turns cool. You understand? Help, you have to do your part first. Everything you can, and then Allah's help will come. It doesn't come on its own. Then the other side of that is there are some people who think they can do everything themselves. They don't need to ask Allah for help. I got my job because I'm very intelligent. I have a successful business because I made some very good decisions. I have a good degree because I'm very smart. And we start thinking we get this because we deserve it, or that we earned it ourselves. The Fatihah is teaching us success, even in this life, comes from two things. You put the effort yourself, and then you ask Allah for help. Here's the final thing about nasta'een. When you ask someone for help, it's always specific. It's always specific. If I'm hanging off a cliff, help, and somebody walks by and hands me a water bottle, the help I was asking for was pick me up. It's specific. I'm not just asking for any kind of help. I need this kind of help. You understand? When your pen runs out of ink and you say, excuse me, could you help me here? And you're asking for their pen. So if they hand you a cookie, that's not the help you were looking for. Help is always specific. Is that clear to you? Because it's always specific, you're supposed to say what you need help in. But in the ayah we say, إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. Fima. In what? We need your help, we say. We tell Allah, Ya Allah, we're asking for your help. But you're asking for my help in what? Are you asking for my help in your health? In your family life? Are you asking for my help in your studies? Are you asking for my help in your religion? What are you asking for? When someone is so desperate that they are at a loss of words, that they can't even explain what they need help in, then they just say, help. That's what we say in the Fatihah. Ya Allah, help. Because the things we need help in are so many, we can't even list them. So we just say, إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. Subhanallah. One of the most beautiful insights by Shaykh al-Sha'rawi rahimahullah on إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. One of my favorite insights. He said, subhanallah, why did Allah say إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ first? And why did He say إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ second? What happens if you reverse them? Why can't you reverse them? إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. Why not? He says there are two reasons. Why were we put on this earth? To ask for help or to do worship and slavery to Allah? So our purpose is mentioned first. And what we need to accomplish that purpose is mentioned second. But there's another even more beautiful thing. When we enslave ourselves to Allah, when we worship Allah, it is for Allah. When we ask for help, it is for who? Ourselves. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ is for Allah, and إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ is for ourselves. What you want for Allah should be mentioned first. What you want for yourself should be mentioned second. It's good manners. It's good manners. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. Subhanallah. You guys doing okay? 10 more minutes before the next break? You'll survive? Yeah, I'll give you another 2 minutes. It's okay. I want you to keep paying attention. Short attention span, Ihdina. Guide us. This is beautiful. Beautiful language. The word hidayah in Arabic. Why did we say guide? Because Allah is the master. And you cannot have a master until He gives instructions. And how does that relationship begin? With guidance. And then, since you just said, I am your slave, I need your help. The first kind of help you and I need is, Ya Allah, tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. Now, if you are asking Allah to tell you what to do, that means you are ready to do it. Yes? So when we say Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, we are actually telling Allah, Ya Allah, I am ready to obey you. Just tell me, I'll do it. I need your advice, and when you give me advice, I'll take it. I have friends who ask me for advice all the time, but they never follow it. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? I've been telling you for 4 years what you should do. You don't do it. I don't want to tell you anymore. There's no point. You and I are asking Allah for advice. Don't ask Him for advice and not do it. At least try to do it. That's the first thing. The second thing that's so beautiful about the word guidance, in Arabic you can say ar-rushd also is guidance. Arshidna, guide us. Ihdina is also guide us. What's the difference though? The word huda in Arabic comes from hadiyya. Hadiyya in Arabic is a gift. When the Arab would get lost in the desert, what's the biggest gift you can give him? Guidance. Water is not good enough. Food is not good enough. Because that means he'll stay alive 2 more hours. He'll survive 1 more day. But in the desert, the biggest gift you need is what? Guidance. That's why they associated survival and guidance together. The ultimate gift would be having the right directions, especially in desert life. We are asking Allah for the ultimate gift. Ihdina. Guide us. And we didn't even say guide me. We said guide us. So it's actually, we're switching. We're going from individual to collective. Everything in the beginning was actually individual in some sense. Hamd is individual. Allah is a master of me individually. Allah's mercy comes to me individually. The judgment day is about an individual. Each individual will be judged. But immediately we switch over to Ihdina, because in this life, if you're going to have a healthy relationship with Allah as an individual, you have to come together as a community to ask. You have to be with other people. You need other people for guidance. You can't do it on your own. That's why it's not ihdini, it is ihdina. It has to be ihdina. And it's not even iya nahdi, which actually would have meant guide only us. That would have been bad. Yeah, Allah only guide me, everybody else can go to hell. I don't care about that. Okay. But actually guide all of us. We have to talk a little bit about guidance before I give you your break. It's such a beautiful concept in Islam. When you are lost, you need directions, right? And somebody maps it out for you. Go 3 kilometers this way, 2 kilometers. See, I used kilometers. I didn't use miles. I'm proud of myself. But, take a left and take a right and you'll get there. That is information, isn't it? Sometimes guidance is just information. But Allah's guidance is more than information. Your counselor's guidance is information. The traffic officer's guidance is information. The GPS guidance is information. That's all information. But Allah's guidance is more than information. Allah's guidance, it actually has to do with personal choices at every given moment. And we're not just asking for information, we're asking for the strength to make the right decision. 2 different things. It's not just information. Sometimes we have all the information, we still make the wrong decision. Because we didn't have the strength, the will, the commitment, the right mindset to make the right decision. Don't people do the wrong thing and you tell them, don't you know that's wrong? Yeah, but I got angry. That's why we ask Allah for guidance. By the way, if it was just information, if guidance was just information, how many times do you need information? 1 time. If you're given the information, you don't have to ask for it again. How many times do we ask Allah for guidance? Over and over and over and over again, as a standard. I compare guidance to understand asking Allah for guidance. You have to compare it to drinking water. You can't say, I already drank it yesterday, I'm good. It doesn't work. If you want to survive, you have to get it again and again and again. And that is why every few hours, it is as though Allah is telling us, just like your body, every few hours it needs water. Your heart, every few hours it needs what? Guidance. You have to come back to Allah and say, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim again. Now a few hours your fuel is running low and you have to ask Allah again. If it was just about information, it wouldn't be repeated this way. And we're also learning something else. It is not something you get to keep, just like water in your body. You don't get to keep it. Once you have it, it's not yours. You don't own it. You run out of it. Then you have to go get it again. And then you run out of it again. And you have to get it again. Nobody can say, I have it. I have it already. I don't need any more. You can't do it. That's why I like the comparison of guidance with what? Water. There's a thirst for guidance just like there's a thirst for water, just like that, right? So we have to keep asking Allah over and over again. Now, as-sirat al-mustaqim. What does ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim mean? I'll give that to you, inshallah ta'ala, after our short 2-minute break, because again, I want your attention span to stay fresh. So stretch at least like, pull your arms up and do whatever it is you do. I'll stick around over here. Bismillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah, thumma amma ba'd. How far did we get? Where are we? Huh? Somebody tell me. Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. We talked about ihdina. We didn't talk about as-sirat al-mustaqim. There are lots of language technicalities here. I'm going to skip all of them. And I'm going to give you the bottom line of as-sirat. That's the first part about as-sirat al-mustaqim that you should know, and try to remember this lesson as you recite the Fatihah. A minimal translation or a limited translation is guide us to the straight path. That's the one you're familiar with. But actually what the ayah is saying is guide us to the straight path, guide us all the way through to the end of the straight path, like the lam, ihdina lis-sirat al-mustaqim. Guide us to the straight path actually would have been in Arabic, ihdina ila as-sirat al-mustaqim. A different word would have been used. Guide us through the straight path is also part of the meaning. So here's the bottom line. Guide us to, through, and all the way to the end of. All the way to the end of. There are 3 implications. Let's talk about each of those. When you are looking to go somewhere and you ask for directions and somebody says you need to take this highway, get to this highway and you'll get there. You were guided to the highway. And by the way, people usually don't ask for directions to a road, they ask for directions to a destination. Right? So when you ask for directions, typically you don't ask for directions to a path, but rather to a destination. But it's unique that the ayah is telling you and me, or we're asking Allah to ask for directions to not a destination, but to a path. A path. What we're learning here is there's only one way to get to that destination. And once you're on this path, you don't have to be told. It's automatic, you'll get to the destination. You understand? There are some roads, they can take you into 100 places. A road can do that. But this road only takes you to one place. So if you get on this road, it's the same as getting to the destination. That's why you don't have to be told about the destination, you're just told about the road itself. It's beautiful. So the first thing is you are told about how to get there. That's ila, that's how, get to the path. That's one meaning. The second meaning is there are some people who once they get on the road, they say, look, I'm really nervous. Please don't hang up. I know you told me how to get to this road. Can you stay on the phone while I'm on the journey? And don't hang up. Stay with me. Okay, I'll stay with you. Okay, what do you see right now? Oh, I'm passed by some trees. Oh yeah, I know that place. Sure, in Singapore. How do you know? Trees, yeah. That's the one place, yeah. But the idea is what's called in Arabic, ma'iyya. Ya Allah, guide me through this path, stay with me as I am traveling, so I am not a traveler alone. That's actually the interpretation of the hal form of ihdina sirat, the technical side. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. But then finally, guide me all the way to the end. In other words, it's possible that I was going on the right road, but I ran out of gas. I was going on the right road, but I took an exit. I was going on the right road, but I started hitting it reverse. Ya Allah, make sure that once I'm on this path, number one, you stay with me and help me go through this road, but also get me all the way to the end. When you get to the end, you use in Arabic, you use a lam. That's why we say, Alhamdulillah alladhi hadana li hadha. Alhamdulillah, who guided us all the way to the end of this, meaning to Jannah. وَمَا كُنَّا لِنَهْتَدِيَ لَوْلَا أَنْ هَدَانَ اللَّهُ. Very famous ayah of Qur'an. We couldn't have guided ourselves had it not been that Allah guided us. So this is the 3 parts of asking Allah for guidance. It's a path we have to go on. Now let's go back to ila, guide me to the road. That actually means you are asking Allah for knowledge. You are asking for information. Information is part of guidance. You need the information. You need to know what Allah wants. You need to know what makes Allah happy. You need to know the advice you need to have for raising a child and being a good husband and being a good father and being a good mother and being a good wife and being a good son and daughter, being a